I can't promise that there will always be curse words on the thumbnails of my videos, but hey, I also can't promise that there won't be. Let's do it. Hey everyone, it's Rushni of glamazini.com bringing you light and laughter. Per usual, today we are talking about some lessons, okay, that I've learned in a very dark moment this past week. If you are new here or if you are true here, I, Rushni, am a Black woman healing and I create humor filled healing spaces so that other Black women can heal. If you are watching this and you are a Black woman, you're welcome. Share it on your timeline. Share this video on your timeline. Share it on the timeline of a Black woman who you know needs to understand some ways, lessons that she can learn in the dark moments that it feels like we're all experiencing lately. If you're watching, hi, drop a pineapple in the comment section and let me know where you're watching me from. I am streaming on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and maybe Instagram if it's acting right. I don't know. I don't know about the technology right now, you guys. If you missed my last video, I have been going through a week. Okay. Hi, Mara. And I decided that I was going to come back and share some lessons that I've learned during what has been a medical emergency with my son that I shared in last week's video, as well as update you guys on some of what happened. Hey, hi, I'm going to say Chanel. Oh, your avatar is cute. Hi from Orlando. All right, you guys. So, also, as usual, stay to the end. I have a gift for you and I have some updates. And let's get into it. Okay. First of all, I go live on wherever you're watching every Friday at 12:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you missed the previous videos, go back because they kind of build on each other. 2 weeks ago, I felt like I needed to come on and tell you guys how I manage my major depressive disorder diagnosis. Not to pat myself on the back, but the video was fire. Okay, go back. And if you know somebody who's depressed, living with depression, or you just want to understand it, or for you yourself, go back and watch that video on whatever platform you're watching on. Last week, in the midst of chaos, which you're going to find out about a little bit more, because I'm going to give you a quick update and then tell you the lessons that I learned. I posted a video about how I do the things I recommended to manage my major depressive disorder diagnosis in the midst of a crisis because I was literally in the midst of a crisis when I posted that, you guys. And I don't just talk about it. Okay. I'm not only a talker, I'm a walker. So I've gotten a lot of really great feedback from people about how that video is helping them get vocabulary for things that they are experiencing in their own healing journey, depression journey, life journey, and also just showing them, listen, I'm not out here just telling y'all stuff. I coach myself. Let's do it. First, I'm going to give you an update about what happened with my son, or tell you what happened if you don't know. And then we're going to talk about lessons that I learned in the past couple weeks of active holy hell. All right. If you see me looking down, it's because I have this written out. So many people have been pinging me that I've actually just had to like summarize a statement and copy and paste it at times because it's super overwhelming. Okay. I might just read it because that might make it most succinct. Hopefully, you give me abundant amount of grace because when you hear what I've been through, okay. So this is what's been going on for the past couple weeks. Last week, Tuesday, October 17th, my son, Zion, who is a non ambulatory, meaning he cannot walk, wheelchair user with a developmental delay and low to no pain response below his waist, okay, was returned home to me via school bus with an acute fracture of his left leg and in the process of respiratory failure. You heard that right. I got my son off the bus and he was barely breathing and he had a broken leg and no one noticed. No one. None of the adults noticed. During the day, he comes in contact with, I'll go backwards, a bus driver, two aides on the bus, a nurse. He had physical therapy. Of course, he has class, he has specials. All these people come in contact with him, and when I got my son off the bus on Tuesday, he was barely breathing with a broken leg. All right, let's keep going. So, of course, I rushed him to the pediatrician. He was transferred to the ER, transported to his primary hospital via ambulance, and hospitalized in the pediatric intensive care unit and regular hospital floor for 4 nights, with my husband and I sleeping on chairs at his bedside and encountering a few negative experiences with medical professionals who did not listen to us. One of which we insisted on were proven right by x-ray, and they had to remove it and do it over eventually. Okay, you got that? He was discharged from the hospital late Saturday night, so that's 4 nights in the hospital with his left leg in a splint using a loaned wheelchair now because his personal wheelchair no longer works with his splint, and on supplemental oxygen and antibiotics. We brought a child home. I sent a child to school that morning joking around with me who had sniffles, who was joking around with me about that it looked like it wasn't going to be cloudy that day and how cold the wind was whipping outside. And many days later, I brought a child home with an oxygen tank in a loaned wheelchair that they told us we were not going to have. There was a moment in the hospital where they told us, we don't know what to do. So if you can't find a wheelchair, oh well. But eventually we got that rectified. Okay. And on medication, oxygen tank, broken leg in a splint, and on medication. Mhm. I'm going to keep going so that you can see what the dark moment was. Okay. During this experience, many of the medical professionals were terrific. Mostly after I prayed, there was a moment in the pediatric intensive care unit where I just sat there and wept. And I was like, God, I can't do it like this. And God fixed it. He turned it around. I'm not going to shout on this, but he turned it around. I could tell that he was showing me that he could hear me. He has been giving me what I call God winks since before this happened. It started last Monday and it still continues all through yesterday. And in that moment, God turned it around. And every person we came into contact with after that was divinely amazing. But before that, mm, we encountered, unfortunately, some poor medical experiences or just some poor experiences with medical and school admin, including, but not excluding, not exclusive to, an ER doctor who would not listen to me about his known reaction to a medication that had occurred earlier in the year and that I predicted would later have the same effect later in the year. But since it happened again, we were right. But since last time it took me 6 months to figure out the solution, this time, since she wouldn't listen to me, and she kept looking down at my Black woman healing shirt while she wasn't listening to me. And then she eventually just walked away from me. And my husband was like, where's she going? I think she just walked away. Anyway, I just started doing what I knew to do at the beginning. I let her do it and I just started trying to fix it because I fixed it last time. It took me 6 months. I'm in the process. I haven't fixed it yet, but we're having a more concise trajectory toward fixing it. Let's just put it that way. We also encountered a PICU nurse, mm, God help me, who consistently did not do what she promised me. On 2 consecutive nights, she was our nurse, resulting in unnecessary tension between us, a lack of sleep on my part because I had to advocate for my son when I realized she was not doing what I asked her to do. And I had to make sure that he got a second x ray that later proved that I was right about the alignment of his bone being improper in the splint. It had to be removed and redone. And then I was praised for taking everything into my own hands and insisting that his leg was in the position that it was in for the past 24 hours, which happened because I basically had to oppose this nurse who was fighting me the entire time. So basically, she was fighting me, and I was right. They had set my son's leg incorrectly. It was, you ready for this? Brace yourself if you don't like squeamish stuff. It was rotating on the fracture point, and they didn't believe me. It wasn't until my husband came that they listened. Um, Thank God my son doesn't have a pain response. Okay, let's keep going. I also encountered abysmal handling of the situation by the school administration. And for 6 days, the only communications that I received from admin were we spoke to everyone who had encountered him that day. Nobody saw anything. If it happened at the school, don't contact me anymore. Speak to the school district CFO, which is the chief financial officer. Why am I here? I don't understand. About something insurance related when I called him, and we might get back to you on Monday. It happened on Tuesday. So 6 days. That's all we knew from them. Clearly, we considered that to be unacceptable. So on Sunday night, we sat down and emailed the superintendent and everyone else we could think of. And after 6 days, we eventually got the ball moving and we were able to meet with the school representatives a couple days ago. So this past Wednesday. Okay. You guys, there's more. CPS and a police officer showed up at our home over the weekend. The timing of that was traumatic. All of this was traumatic. The timing of that, however, makes me wonder if they also ended up speaking with the school. I don't know. Because the school wasn't they weren't doing what we needed them to do. And then all of a sudden, when CPS came knocking on our door the next morning, right? So that could have happened. I have no idea. Okay. But clearly that was traumatic. It was so traumatic. I was sitting there trying to eat something because I was starving. And it had been crazy. And we had been sleeping in a hospital and it had been crazy. And the police officer banged on the door so loud, I choked. So then when I got up to go talk to them at the door, I'm over there choke talking. It was a whole thing. Okay. It was a whole thing. Thanks be unto God. By the time they finished talking to us, they was like, we don't even know why they called, what like what's happening. Trauma. Okay. And um, I know that you guys are wondering. I'm not looking at your comments right now because I'm trying to get through this and then I'm gonna get to the lessons. Um, right now, I know you guys are wondering the current situation with my son. He's great. He is doing very well. He is moving in the desired direction with the leg break and with the oxygen and with the reaction to the medication. We are working with people to try and see what kind of wheelchair solution we can get for him moving forward. I just teared up because on last week's video, people were asking me how they could help, and I was like, I don't know. So I put my Cash App in there because I told you guys I'm done with the strong back black woman trope. Help me, okay? I am not okay. Help me. Matter of fact, let me hydrate on that. And I don't know what to tell you. I just knew that there was a lot of like stuff happening. So many people have been sending us money. Like, I went back and I added the PayPal because somebody asked me for the PayPal, and I was like, "Okay." So many people that have been sending us money that y'all about to mess around and buy a whole wheelchair. Like, I'm not gonna start crying. There's so many things, moving parts that I literally don't have time to do everything during the day, and that alone is stressful. But anyway, Zion is doing well. Okay. He has to wear a cast for the next 5 weeks. We had an x-ray yesterday. The bone is setting correctly, right? It's not rotating on the fracture anymore. Okay. He went from the splint to the cast. He chose pink. So now he's like super cute. He has a pink cast. And we are moving in a good direction. Let me check the comments and then I'm gonna go on to y'all just listening. Y'all ain't even y'all listening. Y'all like, girl, I ain't commenting. Okay. Thank you so much. Let me see if I can say your name properly. Ola Oyinka. Olayinka? Let me know if that's right. Thank you so much. So, you guys, needless to say, it's been a hell of a week. Mm. And I'm here now and I'm live. Okay. So, I wanted to jump on and share with you guys some lessons that I've learned in this situation and just over time, hoping as always to help myself, help you heal as you watch me heal and we heal together. Okay. You know what I want to say too? I was watching a podcast recently and they were talking about the word healing and how it's been, attached to all of these other things. What does it mean? Does it mean something bad? Is it witchcraft? Whatever. Healing means a return to wholeness. Okay. In my mind, when I say a Black woman healing, just for clarity, I mean returning to the me God designed me to be, a divine wholeness. That's it. Okay. There was no intention for all of these things and traumas and brokenness in life to define who I am and to define who you are. Okay. So now let's talk about some of the lessons that I have learned. Um, oh, let me go here before I say. So somebody said, I can't see who it is. You see how it says Facebook user? So no, they were not able to tell me how he was injured. Eventually, when we went to the school meeting, we had some theories. They had a theory. I had a theory. We solved for safety measures for both conceptualizations based off of the medical records, stuff that I found in the medical. You guys, I asked them a question in the hospital. Two different medical professionals told me it was not so. I was reading my son's medical records on Sunday. Me, just because I was like, let me get in here and see what it says. And they were wrong. It was right there on 2 X-rays. What's happening? So I ended up calling and talking to the pediatrician, and she was like, "Oh, yeah, that's totally what that means. They were wrong." What is going on? Like, listen, I am very thankful for everyone who steps in to help, especially the medical professional, especially after a pandemonium, pandemic. I have so much grace and thankfulness, gratefulness and gratitude for anyone who is in that space working because it has to be difficult, especially after a pandemic. And I know my son best. I know my son best. And there were just so many times during this experience where what I said was proven to be correct. And I had to advocate in such a difficult way with pushback from some, not all. There were some epic people in there. And so when I asked you a question twice, I asked somebody another question twice, and then days later, I have to go on his x ray and read that two different x rays proved you wrong. I don't, so no, they didn't. They don't know why. We figuring it out. But with the conceptualizations that we came up with, we are now adding safety measures to his IEP so that whatever could have happened, we lessen the chance that it happens again. Okay, let me talk about the lessons that I learned. The first lesson that I learned is actually what inspired this video. I was only going to talk about this one thing. I was going to do a video about this one thing, but I started having other things come up in my brain. And I want you guys not just to listen to this from my perspective about what I am experiencing right now, but I want you to think about this when life is kicking you in the face and these waves are trying to take you under. Because as the old people say, keep living. And I don't know if y'all know, most of my audience is millennials and Gen X, right? And progressive boomers, okay? And the way that this life is set up, you see that shimmy right there? Keep living. If it ain't kick you in the face yet, they coming, okay? And you can't. Sorry, I got a little spicy there. You can't sit here waiting for these waves to calm down. I've told you guys, life is not about waiting for the water to get calm. Life is about learning how to surf. These lessons that I've learned and I'm sharing with you in dark moments are lessons on how to be a better surfer. Ready? First thing is this thing happened. And when I tell you, it showed me my priorities with the quickness. Quickness. Okay. You want to talk about clarification? All of this happened and all of the extraneous things in my life fell to the wayside. Dark moments are act as a natural filter. A lot of us have built a life that's not our own. A lot of us have built a life that mommy and family and culture and society has told us. We are on a conveyor belt. And many of us, I have noticed, especially recently, are starting to understand that we've been bamboozled. We've been led astray, run muck. Okay. The promises of westernized life where you go to school, get a degree, get a good paying job, work for a bajillion years, retire, and in there you get a spouse, 2.5 kids, and a white picket fence, does not take into account real life. And the fact that one, there are alternative ways to live in this world. Okay, maybe you don't want to go to school. Maybe you just want to become a plumber. Maybe you want to go live in Barcelona on a houseboat. Maybe you don't want to be married. Maybe you don't want to have kids. Maybe you want to have 10 kids. Okay, maybe you want to be a YouTuber, start your own business. Maybe you don't want to go into the corporate world. And life includes not just the good things, not just the neutral things, but also the challenging things. Nobody prepares us for divorces and medical things and financial things and losing your job, being laid off and having to be a caretaker for your child, caretaker for your mom, um, moving away from your city, being far from your family, not being able to make friendships. Life happens. People's houses burn down. I have lived through hurricanes. I have been in a house when a hurricane ripped the roof off. I have been in a apartment fire. Nobody shares with you financial losses and that we should expect that. And this situation acted as a natural filter, you guys. Everything fell to the wayside and only the priority things remained. You want to talk about rapid clarity and self discovery? Shedding of unnecessary stuff and fluff. Okay, I'm looking at my notes right here. It forced me to take a hard look at my current life and evaluate what actually mattered, right? Certain things, of course, like my family, my health, my son's health, my own personal well being, my psychological well being, my husband's psychological well being, my son's psychological well being, advocacy for my son's medical situation, right? All of those things were high priority in my life. And other things were easily deemed unnecessary. Certain activities, certain obligations, certain relationships, certain like clutter, like all the things. So the lesson I learned was don't just let that happen in a dark moment. Use that information to create the life you desire moving forward. You see what I'm saying? If I didn't care about it when the ish hit the fan, like I put on the thumbnail last week, maybe I don't care about it. Okay. Hopefully this is helping somebody. Maybe I don't care. I'm trying to pull away from the mic so I don't slurp. I did a video many moons ago in my Find Your Light coaching group, which is a coaching group I have, a healing space for Black women. Okay. If you are a Black woman, it's on the screen. Come and join us. We're 800 and something strong. It'd be amazing if I could get to 1,000 by the end of the year. I don't know if that's possible, but hey, if you come, you'll help. Okay. I was told yesterday by a couple of ladies that it's their favorite space on the internet. Okay. We in there chopping it up, getting deep, holding space for each other, healing, and just creating the lives we want. So come to our group. But I did a video on in Find Your Light once, and it was talking about time priorities and how you are not everyone's time priority. You might be their priority in their heart, but we only have a limited amount of time, okay, on the in every day. You know, people always say, we all have the same 24 hours as Beyonce. No, we do not, because Beyonce has assistants and finances to help her time do something different than ours. Okay. And I got a little bit of pushback from people who were like, "No, that's not true. If somebody doesn't reach out to you, that doesn't mean that they're not there. You're not a time priority." And I was like, I don't mean it in the way that they don't care about you. I mean it in a way that we all have a finite amount of time to tend to our priorities, which should be established, and our self, which is a priority. Prioritize yourself, okay? Because you can't pour out of an empty cup. You got to put your oxygen mask on before you put anybody else's, and all of the tropes and things that people say that we hear a million times, but we pish posh. Okay, these things are true. We only have about a specific amount of time, and so it showed me my priorities. And moving forward, I will continue to use that insight to not pick back up something that I put down. That'll bless you. Listen, I don't know if it's gonna bless you, but it's gonna bless me. And it should bless you because if you put it down in a dark moment, maybe you don't want it. Don't pick it back up. Okay, let me turn this off. Right? All right, let's get back over here. Click, click, click. So the next thing The next lesson that I learned in this dark moment that I want to share with you guys is I am not resilient. I don't like the word resilient. You know why? I looked up the definition, and resilience means the capacity to withstand or recover. Why can I speak? Quickly from difficulties. Toughness. Grr. The ability of a substance or object to spring back into shape. Elasticity, endure difficulties and emerge stronger. Now, here's the thing, I am in a season where my words are very important to me. And I don't really like to say a lot of these words that are in here difficulties and toughness. I don't want to curate toughness. Okay. I decided that I don't like the word resilience. I'm not saying that you can't use it. You use it as you see fit. But I feel like words are important because the Bible and science have all shown us that our thoughts become our feelings, become our choices, actions, behaviors. Okay. It's already been proven by scientists. God already said it in the book. Okay. I'm not resilient. What I've learned is I flow. I flow. Okay. I see you saying that I froze. Hopefully, I'm back. Let me know. Let me know. Thank you. The lesson that I learned is I am not getting more callous or more tough per se. I'm definitely getting strong because strength happens when you push back against something, right? It's just like in a gym, right? You get something difficult happens, you push back on it, and you get resistance. You push back on it, strength is developed. But I don't like that word. And so I like the idea that I flow. I like the idea that I flow. My stomach just made a noise. I apologize if you heard that, you guys. Life is lifing and your girl is hungry, but I'm gonna get this out. Okay. Um, in dark situations, instead of trying to be strong and tough and brrr it out, I don't do that anymore. I got on last week. I told you guys I am not okay. I am not 100% okay right now, but I think the ability for me to communicate that I'm not okay is part of creating the okayness. It's like a catch 22. It's an irony, right? Um, I am not trying to be tough. I'm actually trying to be soft and flow through these things like water. I love, oh, stomach. I love water-based analogies. Like I said earlier, life is not about learning, waiting for the waves to stop. It's about learning how to surf. Same thing. I learned that in these tough, dark moments, in moments of adversity, the thing that is most useful for me, the response that's most useful for me is a response where I relax and let God do the thing. And so, even though you guys heard what I just went through this past week, I allowed myself to do this when I was getting pushback, active, intentional, or passive pushback from school officials, from medical people, difficult situation, overwhelming. I chose to flow. I chose to flow. I chose to speak up. I chose to say what I had to say. I chose to allow myself to cry when I needed to. I chose to ask for help when I needed to. I chose to take good care of myself in the small moments when I could, which was difficult to do, but I focused on those things and I chose to flow. Okay. The next lesson that I learned is to continually be extremely empathetic and compassionate because people always say you never know what people are going through. It is so true. Okay. You never know what people are going through. The older you get, the more you know what you don't know. When you're younger, you think you have a full grasp on the entirety of a person's experience because of your limited experience on this planet. So if you're watching this and you're a teenager or in your 20s, even if you're in your 30s, let me tell you something that I know that I'm breathing on 48's neck. Okay. The older you get, the more you don't know what you don't know. And the longer you keep living, the more life hands you these types of challenging, adverse moments that you need to learn how to navigate and flow. Okay. And so when I was going through these experiences, There were people who handled me with empathy and compassion, and there were people who didn't. And I quickly started to notice the difference. And I started thanking the people who were being empathetic and compassionate because it wasn't always the case. And whenever I encounter other people, one of the lessons that I learn is how I can incorporate a lesson from my own choices and my behavior. And so when somebody shows up in a space, I choose me because I want to show up as a certain type of person, compassion and empathy and kindness. Now, I was watching a video yesterday. One of my coaching clients, she was doing a live video on her YouTube channel and she quoted me. And she was saying that back when I told her this, at first it didn't make no sense, but now she totally gets it. I told her that you owe people love, not access. And the reason why I say that is because boundaries are a thing. Okay. And it goes so well with this because I choose how I show up. I get the whole thing of matching energy. People be like, if you treat me this way, if you go low, I'm gonna go subterranean. I get it. And sometimes I'm not gonna say I don't feel that way. I'm a human being, I feel that way. However, when I show up in the world the way I desire to show up, I choose how I'm gonna show up. I show up loving, I show up empathetic, and I show up compassionate because you never know what people are going through. There were so many people that we encountered in this space. The people in the school had no idea what I was dealing with the medical professionals. The people, the medical professionals, have no idea what I was dealing with the school. The people at the CPS, like there were so many people. You know what I mean? And I'm learning that showing up that way bears better fruit. Yes, you can come in and tear the club up. Yes, you can come in and be self focused. Sometimes that's going to happen because emotions are a thing and nervous systems freak out. Okay. However, empathy and compassion and kindness are always the best choice, not always access. Okay. Boundaries are a thing. If you acting up, you could act up over there. But I'm just saying, I choose that. So that's the other lesson. The next thing I learned is I am a hell of a problem solver, you guys. Adversity will show you what you got, what you're made of. And let me tell you something. If somebody hired me to be their project manager, let me go back. I worked in corporate America for many years. I think for like 15 years I was in corporate America and I've been out 10, 11 because it was my son, 11 years. Okay. I worked in a lot of different capacities. One of the capacities, not the only one, because I was like a usability, I was a EX architect, I was a architect, usability architect. Sorry, I did user testing. I did some stuff in the tech space. I even did coding, and there was a stint where I was a project manager. Corporate project management ain't got nothing on me right now. The way that I am a special needs mom and I have to facilitate the care of my son, if somebody hired me right now, my problem solving skills, my ability to get her done, okay, my ability to flow around oppositional obstacles toward the task at hand and manage a massive amount of criteria points and a lot of moving parts is unmatched. And so the lesson that I learned is adversity hones my problem solving skills. Okay. Who knew? And so if you're in adversity, you might start to realize that this is actually something that I'm good at, or this is something that this adversity is showing me that I have the ability to do what I think I can't do. And I'm doing it well. Okay. Which moves me to the next thing. The next lesson that I learned in this dark moment, and I want to share with you guys, is I can do hard things, but I don't have to. Mm. I said I can do hard things. Y'all heard me say that I'm good at this. I'm good at this. Oh, you said, okay, you think it was on your end? Yeah, I kept talking because sometimes on the replay, even if the internet glitches, the video is good. But thank you for letting me know. I can do hard things. I'm good at this. Okay. And I'm too old to shrink back. Stephanie Perry always says that humility is not for Black women. And listen, I'm in my not humility bag right now, okay? I'm gonna tell y'all a little bit more about that later, but I'm good at some things and I'm not good at other things. And the spaces where I need support and I need my arms to be held up, I ask for help, okay? I can do hard things, but I don't have to. I just asked in my Find Your Light community this week if the trope of the strong black woman has contributed to your depression. And several people came in and they responded, and it was an amazing conversation, as we have. It's a great conversation space. And one of the things that I told them is uh someone, I think her name is Erica De Niro TV. I don't know her content, but somebody mentioned that she said that black women in our society are trained or raised to be the maid, the mule, or the mattress. Okay, which totally goes with my thoughts because I've always said that we're trained to be the mule. Okay, and the reason why I brought that up is because I feel like my modeling, the modeling that I saw as a black woman growing up, is that we are trained. I was trained to be the mule. That was what was modeled for me. I was kind of told that I was supposed to do hard things. Struggle was my portion, and celebrated for putting myself last and putting everyone else and their things on my back. Okay. And the concept of the strong black woman, the trope of the strong black woman does not serve us because I told you that for me, being a black woman healing, that means coming back into integrity, wholeness of who God created me to be. And God did not create me to be a mule, God created me to be a woman. And a woman has complex and various states and feelings inside of her. I cry, I feel tired, I am exhausted, I'm overwhelmed. There are so many spaces where we have been taught not to show the softer and more vulnerable sides of ourselves because strong black woman. Yeah, no more. Nobody's doing that. And one of the, I mean, listen, you could do it if you want to. If you're a black woman and you think that there's some celebration in the society riding you into oblivion, clapping because you keep putting yourself last, and then you drop dead from a heart attack, a hypertension, and everybody standing up over your casket at 56, at 62, talking about how you put everybody first. If that's your portion, all of us have seen that happen. If that's your portion, boo boo, choose it. I'm just trying to offer you a different option, okay? And that option is I learned that I can do hard things, but I don't have to. And so I've been asking for so much help. You heard me say the thing about the financial thing. That is not me. Okay. Old Rushni would have never. If you've been on the internet with me for a really long time, when I was pregnant with my son, I didn't even tell people that he had a bad diagnosis until a year later. I went through that without the support. And listen, I don't knock myself back then because I was youthful and that was what I needed back then. But what I'm saying is, you don't have to ask for help. Say you're overwhelmed. When I was in the PICU in the hospital, because I was not getting enough sleep, because I was encountering the nurse that I told you guys about, there was a day where every single person I spoke to, I started it with the fact that, hey, I didn't get a lot of sleep. I may be a little groggy. I may be a little out of it. I'm still going to try to get my thoughts out. Please have grace. Everyone understood that. I started the school meeting with that. I may have even started this live with that. Hopefully, you guys understand. Listen, I am not a mule. I am not Superwoman. If you have been watching any of my content and you think, oh my God, Rushni is super, I am not. Okay. I am just like you. And you don't have to do hard things either. Sometimes life gives you hard things and you have no choice but to show up in the moment. Also, and you can ask for help. You can say it's not okay. You can take your moments to cry. You can, right? You can reach out for support. You, right? Okay. So the next thing actually, oh, I just thought of something. I'm gonna type it down so I don't forget. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I'm gonna say this one next. The next lesson I learned is communication is key. One of the things that has helped me in this difficult situation is my ability to communicate. Um, Over the past few years, I've always been a communicator, a talker, but over the past few years, I have honed my ability to communicate nuanced and complex topics. And I have gained the vocabulary to express it to those who are willing to hear in a way that I'm grateful for and sometimes even impresses me. This past week, I have gotten a lot of, I won't say a lot, but several people have commented on that very thing to me in this stressful situation, they are astonished at my ability to communicate my needs, my co- to communicate my boundaries, to communicate my asks, my yeses, and my nos, to advocate, to stand up with empathy and kindness, even when I'm being firm and basically saying you beeped up and you dropped the ball. Okay. I've been pulled to the side by people that were like, girl, what was that? That's that's amazing. One of the nurses, when we were just chopping it up after the hell experience, the amazing nurse that showed up after that, she was amazing. We were talking the whole day, and she was asking me like what I went to school for, and we're talking about. And part of my degree is in communications, but that's different. Okay, life has taught me this ability to communicate. She turned to me after I said that, and she goes, "I could tell." She was like, "You're astonishing," and I was like, "Thank you." So I want to share with you guys that in a dark moment, speak up. Speak up. People are not mind readers. People are not mind readers. People are not mind readers. Okay. I have observed that communication that involves a lot of mind reading, in my assessment, is immature communication and does not get you the outcomes that you desire, especially in adverse and dark moments. Learn how to speak up. I wouldn't advise practicing it in the dark moments because you're anxious, your nervous system is whatever, and you might get real nuck if you book if you try to start practicing it. But in the regular moments of life, use opportunities that come to you to learn how to set boundaries, how to communicate boundaries, how to enforce boundaries, to learn vocabulary that expresses what you're feeling. Print out feeling wheels. I have 3 feeling wheels on the wall of my office because it helps me learn vocabulary to express what I'm feeling, because often we are not taught any emotions besides I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm mad. And there are so many more, right? Doing that work in the in the light moments of life helps you communicate when all hell is breaking loose. And it's so important. Okay, the last 2 lessons I want to share. The last 2 lessons I want to share. I learned, let me see, I'm gonna go with this one. Yesterday, we had to take my son to the hospital for a checkup with ortho, right? So he had been home since Saturday, and yesterday was Thursday. So they wanted to check how his leg was setting in the splint, especially after that whole snafu with them setting it incorrectly and having it being rotated on the fracture, right? So we put my son in the car. He was so excited to leave the house because he had not been out of the house, not in the darkness, not in the ambulance, you know what I mean? Not at night, not in like a little walk in the garden of the hospital. He had not, like, in his regular clothes, just jumped in the van and went anywhere for almost just short of 2 weeks, like 11 days. So he was like, "Oh my god, I can't, like, this is amazing. The sun is out." He was in his bag. Okay, the man's personality was back and he was excited. So we stick him in the car and we go to the hospital. And while we're going in the hospital, you have to envision this if you can. It's my husband and I. I'm pushing my son who has his leg in a splint in a loaned wheelchair, right? And my husband has an oxygen tank, and my son has the oxygen tank cannula in his nose over his ear. And we're just traipsing in the hospital. And I looked at us and I turned to my husband and I said, "You know what? In the past, if I had seen us from afar, like if I had observed a couple and a child that was in the same state we were in right now from afar, before I knew what I knew with my son and just maturing and living life, I would have thought, oh my God, they are really going through it. What a horrible day." But the irony is, today is the best day that we've had in weeks. This is the good day, right? And so the lesson that I learned, and I continue to learn, this isn't a new lesson, I'm just sharing it with you guys, is perspective and appreciation. Perspective and appreciation. Because in my 20s, and maybe even in the beginning of my 30s, I spent the good part of a decade and a half waiting for life's challenges to stop before I thought I could start living. That's not how it works. Let me say something to you. If you are in your teens or your 20s, please listen to me. Do not do that. It's a waste of time. It's not going to stop. The waves just keep getting bigger. You got to learn how to be a better surfer. You got to buy a cuter wetsuit. You got to learn how to take care of your board. You got to learn how to get up on this board. You got to learn how to surf. The waves don't stop, they keep coming to the point that when you do have a calm day and you do have a beautiful day and the sun is shining and all these beautiful things are happening around you, you can appreciate it. The lesson I learned was appreciation. Yesterday was amazing. I would have looked at somebody from the outside looking in yesterday and been like, "Oh, you poor thing." It's not, "Oh, you poor thing." They are in God's glory in that. Yesterday was amazing. You know why? Um, I could have left the hospital without my child. When we were leaving the elevator, to go home, I told my husband, I said, "You know what's sad? Because of our experience being, um, a family with a child with special needs. And because we've been in the hospital, especially back in the NICU, right? Because this year we've had more medical stuff happen this year. We had like a 10-year break. Okay. This has been a lot of chaos this year. But there are people who come into that hospital and think they're leaving with a child and they don't leave with a child. I got to leave with a cute 11-year-old who got a pink cast. He chose the color pink because pink or purple, right? Those are his favorite colors. And I'm grateful for that. So the lesson that I learned was to appreciate every small moment, every beautiful moment. I see them and I appreciate them. I also want to share with you guys, God not only gave me one God wink, he gave me two. Last Monday before all hell broke loose, I walked into my dining room and there was a spray of rainbow lights across the wall, like sparkles. And I was like, what the heck is this? I've never seen this before. Now, a few things I've changed recently. I got new curtains. They make the room darker when I have them closed and I painted that wall. So I had changed a few things and I could see something different. Also, there was a beam of sunlight going straight into my kitchen window through something on the dining table that was causing this spray of lights. What was it? I walked over and I realized that there was a beam of sunlight spray going straight through a crystal pineapple that I've had sitting on my dining table for at least 2 years. It was a gift from my friend. And for the first time ever, I saw this sparkle. Now, if you know anything about me, maybe you don't, but I'll just tell you one of my favorite emoji combinations on the internet is the pineapple and the sparkle emoji. Why, Rushni? Because pineapples make me happy. They're my chosen symbol of my joy. As you can see, there's a bunch of them behind me. And my name, Rushni, means light in Hindu. It's actually Roshni, right? It's also why a lot of the things when you work with me have the word pineapple in them or light. My coaching community on Facebook is called Find Your Light, right? My paid coaching offering, which is on sabbatical but is coming back shortly, is called the Pineapple Crowns. Okay. I considered that spray of light that God showed me a God wink before anything happened. Nothing had even happened yet, but it was so beautiful. And I was like, what? I actually took a video of it and put it on Instagram in my Instagram stories and highlights. I have a picture of it. It was so it was God winking at me. Okay. You ready for this? Yesterday on the way back from the hospital, we're driving home and we see a pink fountain. You know how they dye fountains, right? Beautiful fountains with water. And sometimes they put color in them. Apparently, breast cancer awareness, yada, yada, yada. We see a pink fountain. We're driving home from the hospital on this day that I am being ridiculously grateful and appreciative. My son is in the car for the first time, and he just chose the color pink, which is his favorite color for his cast that he has to wear for the next 5 weeks. We're having a good day, okay? And we look over and we see a pink fountain. My son's favorite color is pink, you guys, and his favorite thing is fountains. In a week and a half, God showed me a physical manifestation of something that is 100% unique to me and a physical manifestation of something that's 100% unique to my son. Perspective is the lesson and gratefulness. so that I don't miss the moments that life gives me. Because real talk, if you sit down waiting for life to give you moments without actively creating those moments, you're not going to have them all the time, okay? Some of them are going to happen for you because God's going to have mercy and grace and he's going to step in a miraculous way, but also, okay, he gives us the ability to create, okay? And so perspective about not missing those moments and also perspective and the ability to create. The last lesson I want to share with you guys is this dark moments in general and adversity have continued to teach me to trust myself. Earlier in this year, I reached out, actually it was last year, to be tested for ADHD. Why? We're all on the internet. The pandemic has skitched out our brains and our nervous systems, and TikTok has all of us thinking we have ADHD. Okay, so I reach out, I get on a wait list. It was last year. It takes forever, yada, yada, yada. Eventually, I come up for testing, right? I go to the testing, long, short. Turns out I do not have clinically diagnosable ADHD. I do have clinically diagnosable major depressive disorder and PTSD. Those two things have been diagnosed. Okay. PTSD once, MDD twice, but not ADHD. I do not meet the criteria. However, the clinician, the psychologist that did my testing, which was multiple days and over like whatever, a lot of various things I had to do, she spent the majority of our phone call, which was about 40 minutes. I actually have it videotaped, explaining to me that I had a low self concept, right? Which is part of my major depressive disorder. And she wanted to share with me something that I may not be aware of. What is that, Rashni? That woman shared with me that I have an IQ that is higher than most of the population. And she wanted to know if I knew it. And I was like, no, I never had my IQ tested to my knowledge unless they did it when I was a kid. But no, I didn't know that, okay? So she was like, "Yeah, I feel like you need to know this because you have a low self-concept and the way that you perceive things is like something is wrong with you, but actually nothing is wrong with you. Something is impressively right with you." Not only that, she shared with me that there are 4 different categories in which they test you for your IQ, and out of those 4 categories, one of them I tested average, which it means I am having the pretty much the same experience as the population. The other 3 I tested above average, which means I am having higher cognitive functioning in those spaces than the majority of the population. And one of them I tested 99th percentile. 99th, which means you're not going to meet people like me. Okay. I'm going to live. She said, and I quote, I still laugh because it's funny to me. This woman told me, you are going to be spending the rest of your life operating with people who have lower cognitive functioning than you. And I want you to know that. What? Okay. Clearly, I had a low self concept because she was like, the experience that you're probably having is in a lot of these spaces when you walk in and you're saying something that you see happening right in front of your face, because that's the thing I have the 99th percentile in. It's perceptive reasoning. I go in, I see all of the data, and I come up with a solution. 99th percentile, right? She was like, your frustration in life is going to be that you're going to see these things and people aren't going to see it. And you're going to, if you want to be around people who have a similar cognitive functioning than you in that space, you're probably going to have to look for them. She actually told me like to check, I don't know, whatever those groups are. I don't want it. That's not that important to me. But the point I'm making is when she told me that information, I shared it in my coaching group because I was like, first of all, you guys, sometimes you might be thinking there's something wrong with you because every single time you walk into a space, nobody else is coming to the same conclusion that you come into. And maybe something right with you. Maybe you are divinely endowed with something. When I tell you that woman shifted something in me, and hopefully you guys have noticed it in the past few months, she shifted something in me. It's never going to shift back. It's never going to shift back, especially in this dark moment where I activated very intentionally the gift that God gave me. And every single time I did, I was eventually proven right. Sorry, I just felt that one. So, the lesson that I learned is to trust myself. The lesson that I learned is to not always second guess myself. The lesson that I want to share with you is in situations where you may be getting pushback, maybe you're getting pushback not because you're wrong, but because you're right. Maybe you are divinely endowed with gifting for the adverse, dark moment that you are in for such a time as this. Okay. The psychologist spent a lot of time explaining that to me because I was like, huh? I didn't even know that they were testing my IQ. I was like, why are you talking to me about IQ? All them tests you was doing, I thought that was something else. She was like, no, we're testing your IQ it's part of the diagnostic. Trust yourself more. The reason why my coaching community is called Find Your Light is because I believe that the light is inside of us already and we've lost it. I think that a creative adult is a child that survived. Okay. What you're looking for out there in the dark moments is in here. You got to find it. Okay. There's a self discovery, there's a rediscovery that these moments avail us to. And that was the lesson, the last lesson that I learned. Let me check the comments and then I'm going to wrap it up and tell you guys a few things. Hi, Tara. God has a way of showing you how to appreciate the little things in the most beautiful and basic way. When I tell you, He showed me that sparkly pineapple, and before I even knew that my face was about to be kicked in, just boom, boom, thing after thing after thing after thing after thing. I just stood there and was like, huh. And I'm so grateful for the wherewithal that I had to take a picture of it and a video of it because now I go back to it and I know he was there. And I'm sorry, my son's favorite color is pink. His favorite thing on the planet is fountains. You're not going to tell me that driving back from the hospital, we just randomly see a fountain that's never had color in it be a pink fountain? No, I feel like that's God winking at me. God said, I got you, girl. You were going in the right direction. And I love him for that. I love him for that. Okay. I love him for that. Let me see what else. The God within. The God within. Listen, don't make me preach, Melinda, because we're made in his image and we looking for him. We seeking for him. We looking all over the place. Look inside. Sorry, I had to change my voice. Look inside, boo boo. Listen to the still small voice. You got to stop. I was just talking to my cousins this morning, and we were joking around about the fact that all of us were getting the same message from God. God was telling us to be still and know, right? What do you think be still and know means? It means sit down. He told me to shut up and let me do my thing. God said, if you stop for a sec, stop, be still and know, right? I told you guys earlier that the Bible and science have proven that what you know, your thoughts turn into feelings, your feelings turn into your choices, your behaviors, and your actions. Be still and know. You got to be still to hear the God within you so that you are having the right thoughts that now bring up the right feelings that make the right choices. I could have a whole other life about that one. Okay? Be still. Be still. Okay? He's got this. I have a shirt in my shop that says yoke easy, burden light. You know why? Because I tapped out of the struggle Olympics. If you want to go up the rough side of the mountain, go. Okay? My God said he has availed me to a way of escape. When I got quiet and I could hear God, he said to me that the safety and the peace I'm looking for is the God within. My name means light. Think about the Bible. Hide it under a bushel. No, I'm going to let it shine. There's a light within you. He's in there. You can't hear him because you're listening to too many external voices. And the lesson is what you've been looking for can be found when you stop for a moment and get still. Get still. Anyway, I didn't mean to go off into that, but maybe somebody needed to hear that one. Anyway, free gift. I've been telling you guys about this and you guys have really been responding to it well. So I'm going to share it with you again. If I asked you who you are, could you answer the question? I don't know if you could. So I created a workbook. It's one of the things that my clients in my coaching groups in the past have really gotten a lot of support from. I'm trying to find my little banner here. Boom. There it is. It's called Who Am I? It's the essential identity workbook to answer life's most important question. Who am I? This is the kind of work that you need to do when you get still. You know why you need to know who you are? Because one, in adverse moments, you need this. This is the anchor you're looking for. You got to figure out who you are so that you are creating your life, the life that God wants you to create, not the life your mama told you, not the life Pookie them told you, not the life that you see some chick on Instagram doing, not that one, not that one. Okay. Maybe she doesn't want kids and you want them. Maybe she wants pets that you don't want to. Maybe you want to live in a tree house, okay, in Rwanda and she wants a suburban house in Atlanta. Okay. Be still and know. And I wrote this book so that you can be helped. Go to glamazini.com/who am I and you can download it for free. Okay, boo boo. It's for sale in my shop. If you want to pay me, that'd be great. Go to shop.glamazini.com. But if you want it for free, boo boo, go out there. Why? Because I want you to heal. And I want you to get to a place of knowing so that when life is happening and these adverse and dark moments are happening, you have something to anchor yourself to. And that anchor is who God divinely designed you to be. And if you don't know who it is, part of the problem is you're creating a life that you don't want to live. Okay. So go get your free workbook. I feel like there was something else I was going to tell you guys. I can't remember what it was now. Let me think. Let me go back to the comments. And it's an hour on the dot. Look at God. Look at God. So, yeah, I don't know how the medical people can't read charts, but how your non-medical listen, when I tell you I asked them about his bones in the hospital multiple times, and they assured me, "Oh, no, there's no possibility in, there's no signs in his chart," that's what they said, "that his bones are more apt to breaking. They're typically developing." They told me that. 2 different people. I go into his X-rays on Sunday. This happened on Tuesday, we get home. I read in his X-rays myself on Sunday, and both of them have information about demineralization of the bone. So what's happening right now? What's actually going on? I follow up with his pediatrician and she looks at it and she was like, "Oh yeah, that's what that says." How, Sway? When I asked. So anyway, that's what I'm saying about trusting yourself. Not just as a special needs mom. If you're a special needs mom, trust yourself. Okay. Let me say this to the special needs mom. If you're a special needs mom, the medical professionals are doing an amazing job to assist you in taking care of your kid. They are generalists with medical training. You are a specialist in your child. And together, you guys create the best care environment. Okay. And that's the same thing, even if you're not in a special needs adverse situation. If you're just in a life situation, these people who are helping you externally are specialists in general things. You are good and trained in their general things. You are a specialist about you. That's why I want you to do this book. Who am I? Because if you don't know who you are here flapping all over the place. Okay. And we don't want that. Anyway, download your workbook and I go live in my Find Your Light group. I'll put this back on the screen every single Monday at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time for like a little quick 15-20 minute coffee chat. And like I said, it is 800 plus Black women over there healing and becoming more whole toward the divine us that God created us to be. Okay. I'm not going to beat you with the Bible. I'm not that kind of Christian. I'm a Christian. I allow everybody to have their perspective, okay, because I do not have the hubris to believe that I understand the full mind of a big and expansive God with my little mind, okay? So come through. I'm happy to see you, and I will see all of you who are watching me. Thank you so much for joining me on the next video next Friday, 12:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Hopefully these lessons helped you in your dark moments and your adverse times. Be well, be encouraged. Here's a pineapple. Bye, you guys.